Now, I don't know what else happened on August 28th, 2000. Fuck, let's check the dirt sheets, low key. Would there be dirt sheets? Um, August 28th, 2000. Dirt sheets, wrestling. Now, trying to just find it. So we're on the year 2000. It was the 28th. I don't know how to read this. Is this an American or? Oh, so the first. Oh, it is American. You have the month first. So looking at 1 month. August. August would be 8th month. Yeah, 8th month. So we have 8 at the front. Fuck, I don't even know what I'm looking for. Oh no, we're on it right now. Alright, yeah, sweet. So it's the Observer. I'm getting this from Deadlock, by the way. Shout out my niggas Deadlock, DPW. So it's the Observer Hall of Fame issue and this year 7. Whatever. Mick Foley finally made the cut this year after just barely missing it 2 years. But this year he had 2 classic matches with Triple H. We on the, I think it'll be the one at No Way Out and the one that what's the other one as well? Royal Rumble, yeah, when Triple H fucking went through and hit. Bro, we could lucky do some rewatchings of pay-per-views, you know, with my niggas in Renaissance. Shout out them. I don't mind doing that for some YouTube videos. Don't quote me on this, but soon I am looking to rewatch the first ECW episode. This is not Eastern Championship Wrestling, but when they became Extreme Championship Wrestling, so it's after Shane Douglas threw the championship on the floor and got his own championship. Now, I don't know if I'll make it a series or make it consistent, but I will for sure check that out. Hashimoto. I don't know who Hashimoto is. I'm not too much of a Japanese wrestling fan. Let's check out who this guy is. This looks like a big nigga. This looks like a big nigga. I'm not gonna lie to you. This guy looks like he'll fuck you up quick 2 times, 3 times, 4 times. Damn. Oh shit, it was NWA World Heavyweight Champion too. Oh, that's actually dope to know. That's a rare accomplishment. It looks like he was mainly on Hardstyle. That's Haku in the background. Is it Haku? I think it is. I don't know who else is in there, but yeah, he looks like a big nigga. He looks like one of the legends from old New Japan. Oh well, it legit says New Japan right there. So yeah. Should have been in last year. Only missed the cut by 1 vote, but he made it this year. And I think this is the Hall of Fame issue. Yeah, Steve Austin is inducted. This is pretty obvious. You know, everyone knows who Steve Austin is. Hakuda. So you know, it's not too much going on from what I'm reading. So first 4 inductees. So he's just talking about he's Hall of Fame. You know, it's crazy how much the deep end Melts is really going off of. Like, I wasn't too much of a dirt sheets type of guy. I mainly just watched wrestling for fucking wrestling. But as I got older and I got more into my wrestling fandom, you learn more about the dirt sheets. I'm a corny fan. You know, I like watching the drive-throughs. So often on occasion, I'll just be hearing about him talk about Meltzer and how Meltzer was this reliable source and has all these fans and stuff. Who else is also with him? Fuck, I forgot the other guy's name. Oh damn, it's I'm fucking stupid. How can I forget this? It's corny, and I know his voice too. He was like a super fan when he was like around the early ECW era, NWA era. He's like the co-host. I'll remember it sooner or later. I don't even know. I forgot his name. But yeah, that's how I learned about Meltzer. And then obviously we know in AEW and, you know, everything with the Young Bucks and 5-star matches come from him and shit, which is kind of cool to think about. I remember when you used to play the old WWEs on the PS4. I don't know if they still have it now, but on the top left corner, it'll say, you know, 5-star match. I never knew where they got that from, so it's cool to know they got that from Meltzer. Lots of new drama in WCW as the company continues to circle the drain, starting with the Vince Russo interview on WCW Live on their website. Fucking Vince Russo, oh shit. Now, Vince Russo is definitely a character, as we all know. You know, he quote unquote saved WWE. I can agree to that to a certain sentiment. Obviously WWE wasn't doing their best business in '97 and '96 as well. They weren't catering to that older fan base that people were like ECW or later WCW Nitro starting to do with the whole NWO storyline and shit. But he did also help, there's a lot of segments we can think of. I remember Brian Pillman having a gun on fucking WWE Raw. We all know that. And the end of the episode, it just cut there. A bunch of concerned parents called in, like, you can't show this on TV. This is dangerous. And I did just 90s shit. And then obviously we have, what else do we have? We had shit like the 99 Survivor Series, everything happening on 98. From the good shit like, Nation of Domination and DX, and then all the horrible shit like fucking Val Venus. I mean, Val Venus was cool for a little bit, and then it got really weird. And then even the real life Val Venus is a very weird guy, But besides the fact, let's go and read this. Lots of new drama in WCW as the company continues to circle the drain, starting with the Vince Russo interview on WCW Live on their website, where he said all sorts of wacky shit. First, he mentioned that he has 60 weeks left on his contract and said if he somehow lasted that long, which he doubted he would. I mean, how would you want to fucking write for a TV show or wrestling and not even think you're going to survive there for that long? That's fucking kind of stupid. Then he would leave pro wrestling forever when his contract was up. Well, that was a fucking lie, because he joined, what did he join? He joined TNA. We all know what he did to TNA and how he got him kicked off Spike TV. And then he also joined, he made that Christian wrestling shit. Now, I'm an avid believer in God. Shout out Jesus. Jesus is king. Jesus is Christ. Christ is king on me. And it's I love my faith, obviously. But starting a Christian pro wrestling thing doesn't really make the most sense. I'm not gonna lie to you, but hey, it's Vince Russo, for every one good idea he has 30 or 40 batshit crazy ones. But he did make wrestling interesting for a certain point, and at least Nitro is so bad that we can go back in retrospect and actually laugh at that shit. Unlike the current product now, I can't lie, WWE's kind of boring a little bit. Kind of boring. I can't even be fucked keeping up with the YouTube, because I used to keep up week to week, then I gave that shit up. I just caught up with the YouTube segments, and now I don't even do that because that's just boring too now. The main segments that we put on YouTube outside of anything including Rock, John Cena, CM Punk, or I can't even fuck with Seth Rollins no more. Seth Rollins is he kind of ass. Not in-ring wise, but promo-wise, he's very mid. I just can't fuck with that anymore. But, I mean, they have a lot of good talent. I hope there's a good booker that comes and kind of rejuvenates and puts some life and energy into it. I miss, because I never grew up in the Attitude Era personally. Obviously, you can see how fucking young I am. I'm not a day of a 19, my nigga. But I did rewatch a lot of that shit when I was younger, because I had WWE Network, so I used to watch all the pay-per-views and shit, and some of the episodes of Nitro and Raw, and obviously watching Reliving the War for how consistently I have. It's really a stark difference in between matches. I don't know why all booking seems to be consistently 50-50. It's fine to have squash matches, It's fine to put people over. Not everybody has to be even. Otherwise, it's but it could be the latter as well. When WWE used to book, their main event is so strong and their lower mid card so weak, and then so many wrestlers end up leaving or getting injured around mid 2000s to where those lower mid carders, for example Chava, had to be brought up to the significant mid card, and then it's it didn't make sense. Chava was getting his ass whipped for a long time, unless he was with Los Guerreros. So that was a weird time too. But as long as you can have it in the middle, I feel Paul Heyman is kind of good at booking, but Paul Heyman never knew how to bookend the storyline. I remember he would fucking have Kimono. Kimono came out of nowhere, and then instead of getting rid of Kimono or ending the storyline, it ended up that Kimono was with Beulah, I think, and then they were all fucking with Raven, and then turns out Beulah had a child, and then the child's dad was Tommy Dreamer. It was all sorts of weird shit that just kept going on. I mean, it was fun, It was fun, but at times it would drag on. And at least with Paul Heyman, he knew how to like bring the energy in the crowd up. With like Triple H, it's like he drags it out like Paul Heyman, but he doesn't give you the fun moments. Like, what the fuck? It's more like, oh shit, yeah. That's how I kind of see it, you know. But maybe I need to start watching more week to week segments and shit, or just like the whole episode. But fuck, I don't know if I can sit down for 3 hours watching that shit. I don't know at all. So, you know, there have been rumors of him leaving for a while. They got stronger this week after WCW were upset about the poor Canada tour with the bad pay-per-view and bad TV shows. Now, what pay-per-view was in March? If we can check. WCW March pay-per-view. Would it be 2000? Yeah. It would be Uncensored. Now, I'm not. Oh no, why'd I put March? I'm a fucking idiot. We're watching August. Oh fuck, I'm mouthful. We're fucking up. Because I don't remember watching that too much. August. Oh, New Blood fucking Rising. Now, New Blood Rising is very interesting. I'm not gonna lie. Let's check what we had on New Blood Rising. New Blood Rising 2000. Now, if we check the match card of New Blood Rising 2000, we had the 3 count match is very good. You know, I'm just coming from a reliving the war standpoint, so I didn't watch it personally. I'm just taking it from Wrestling Bias recounts. Maybe I should watch them. I don't know if I should. You guys tell me. But the 3 count match is really good. I won't lie. It was very high spot. It was the ladder match, I'm pretty sure. Ernest Miller versus Great Muta was an interesting match. Buff Bagwell versus Kenyon and a GD Bagwell on a forklift match. Nah. Every time you fucking hear about bad match stipulations, you always see this shit, GD Bagwell on a forklift match. You always hear about how it's fucking horrible this shit is. And I'm not gonna lie, it's like, I didn't watch the full match, but I watched the recap. It's not a bad match per se, but it's just the stipulation is retarded. Like, look at Canyon driving in Judy Bagwell. Like, logically, in real life, if I see someone driving, number one, how are you letting your fucking mother get on a forklift by another nigga to begin with, alright? That's just nuts to think about. I don't know how you're letting that shit happen. And then 2, this nigga put your mother on why is she on the forklift? That's a really big, we need to discuss that. Why is she on the forklift? Like, legally, not even legally, like smartly in your brain, if you're on a fucking forklift, why would you not run away? Like, why would you allow that shit to happen? 2, this nigga watched Chris Canyon drive in with his mother on the forklift. He didn't decide to fight back, no nothing. He just allowed that shit to happen, casually watching it in the ring. Didn't decide to suck that nigga in the face and then walk out with his mother. Nah, he just decided, hey, I'm gonna fight this nigga, and if I lose, what would happen if he lost? That's a good point. What would happen if he lost? If he lost, what is his mother getting thrown off a forklift? Like, what? Like, no. If he won the match, what would happen? Genuinely, what would happen if he won the match? If Chris Canyon won the match, what would happen to Judy Bagwell? Would she just stay on a forklift? What, is he gonna drive out with Judy Bagwell on a forklift? Like, someone please tell me what would happen, genuinely. But yeah, instead of sucking that nigga in the face and being like, why the fuck do you have my mother on a forklift? Like any smart person would, he just decided, you know what? I'm gonna casually fight this guy in a professional wrestling match for my mother's sake, which is like, okay. And then he wins the match and then brings the forklift down, and then I don't know why she just stood there when she saw the forklift going up. Like, if I see a forklift going up and this guy is trying to fight some guy, I would run my ass over, like just run, maybe jump off, suck that nigga in the face while he's not paying attention and just run, like, using common sense. Like, of course wrestling is gonna exaggerate like, you know, real life. Like, if I'm in the corner and I'm taking, like, you know, the 10 count in the corner when he's on the person that goes 1, 2, 3. Like, obviously if you do that 10 times in a row with your hardest punches, person's gonna be knocked out or bleeding. Like, logically that shit's not gonna happen. But because it's wrestling and it's, you know, we're what's it called, kayfabe, you know, we're like dispensing our belief. That's what it is, dispensing our belief. Obviously we just know, it's, in real life it's not gonna happen, but it's wrestling shit. But like, even in wrestling terms, if I'm getting carried on a forklift, you know, I didn't sign a contract, the stipulation. The company is not keeping me to do this shit. I'm just on a forklift because I want to be on a forklift. Like, okay. And then, you know, the fuck is just so stupid to think about. And somehow this is not even Vince Russo's worst idea. Vince Russo has so much worse match stipulations. Maybe that's a YouTube video, you know. Vince Russo's worst match stipulations. That is definitely a video. I will write that down. I'm writing that down now. Like, that's just so stupid to me. If you really think about it, Vince Russo match stipulations. I know there's a fucking fuck ton of them dumbass shits, you know. Vince Russo match stipulations. Let's see. There's how many something on a pole match. I remember, was it fucking Billy Kidman and Shane Douglas? It was, what's the word? Billy Kidman, Shane Douglas, Viagra on a pole match. Like, what? Viagra on a pole match? If you win, what you're just gonna use the Viagra? Though, what do you earn? There's no title. There's no, you know, there's no reputation. There's no nothing to hold. It's not like, if it's something like contract on a pole match, like, okay, I understand that. Yeah, my contract's on a pole. You take the contract, rip it up. I'm no longer a part of the company. I didn't earn my money. Makes sense. Like, obviously, we wouldn't want that match stipulation. That shit's stupid. But if you were to have that match stipulation and made it make sense, then yeah, you can get away with that. But Viagra on a pole match? What am I gonna do with Viagra? You know, I understand Tori. Was it Tori? I don't know. Was Tori in WWE? I think Tori was in WWE. It was Major Guns. Let's search up Major Guns. Like, nah. Major Guns, WCW. It was her. Major Guns. This is who they were fighting for. Viagra on the pole match. So yeah, that happened. I'm pretty sure that's the person. That shit happened. Cool, done and dusted. I mean, even in WWE, he had his fair share of stupid on the pole matches. I think there was one with what's his name? I'm trying to think. Big Boss Man. It was like a Billy Club on a pole match. Pole matches are just kind of stupid. They could be nice, especially if you do it right and storyline wise. But the way Vince Russo did it is just like, I got this here and you don't want it, so I'm gonna put it on a pole and we're gonna fight for it. Like, dude, like, no, that shit doesn't work like that. Wrestling doesn't work like that. I'm not a booker. I'll say I'm kind of a mock, yeah, but even I know as a non-wrestling booker, that shit doesn't work like that. And as a fan, no, I do not want to watch that shit. Please stop putting shit on a pole. Like, I have to show you niggas. Viagra on a pole match. Please, look at this shit. Like, why? And then, obviously, yeah, we had Billy Kidman versus Shane Douglas. And then, I don't know if that's Major Guns. It might be Major Guns. I couldn't even tell you. But, that's no, there's another one. There's the casket match, TNA, where the coffin was fucking rising. Vince Russo needs to pay for his crimes against wrestling. Like, real shit. No, there's like, oh man. No. Oh man. How do I go on dirt sheets and end up arguing about Vince fucking Russo? Oh my word. Let me see. Rising, Coffin, TNA. Man, I'm trying to think. Like, I remember it happening. It's like it was in a cage match. I can't find it per se. It was like, can I search a Rising Casket? TNA. I can't even spell TNA. Drew McIntyre was in TNA. Huh. That's cool to know. I didn't even know that. I knew he was on Indies, but I didn't know he was on. Maybe it happened in Final Destination. Did it happen in the Final Destination? Oh, shout out to my nigga Maki D123. I enjoy his videos as well. That shit's high class. I can't find it, but for my niggas that do watch wrestling, you know what I'm talking about. Now I have to find this shit now. Like, it's actually very serious. Rising Casket, TNA. No. Casket. That has to be like the right combo of words to actually find this shit. Like, Casket flying. TNA. I remember the fans were screaming, "Fuck Vince Russo." What's it called? TNA fans chanting fire Russo. Oh, okay. Alright, during the Last Rights match. Alright, so Last Rights match. TNA. So I was on the right track. Now, legally, can we share this on stream? Fuck yeah, nigga. Who gives a fuck? Shout out old school TNA. For all my niggas, I love old school TNA. Shout out old school TNA. We on the AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, Christopher Daniels, Sonny Siaki, the fake Rock. I'm trying to think. Suicide. Oh, it was a homicide. Homicide's in ROH. It was Suicide, and it turned out to be Austin Aries. Cause I remember it was from the TNA Impact game. My cousins gave me that. That game was so gas. Y'all niggas don't understand. Speed's playing Super Mario. Huh, that's pretty dope. I know there was some fucking stupid shit happening here. That had to be. Okay, so just casually in normal wrestling. Yes, I fucking found it. Oh my word. Caution. But man, why is I wasn't even alive when that shit was happening. I'm looking at this in post, and Vince Russo is still mentally making me angry. Like, Vince Russo, almost, what? We're in 2025. Shit. 2025. Almost 20 years later, Vince Russo is still giving a pain in the ass to all wrestling fans. Like, fuck Vince Russo, honestly. I understand you helped pro wrestling in that down period, you know. You took a lot of help from ECW, if we're being honest, because ECW was revolutionizing pro wrestling in America at that moment. But you did help. There was good stuff, I understand, you know. I've seen those old stuff from 98, 99. Was he booking in 97? Now, I don't know. I know Corny was booking in 97. 97 had a lot of good shit. I think 97 had to be WWE's best solid year outside of 2000, okay? Because 99 was very interesting. 98 was very interesting too. A lot of lows and highs. But if we're talking about consistency, obviously we have Hot Foundation shit. That's all I really remember, because I didn't watch the whole at 97. Maybe I don't want to watch the whole at 97. But I've watched significant parts in 97. 97 was a good year for WWE. There was, the Hot Foundation shit, obviously. We had Bret Hart versus America. We had the first true instances of what's his name, Vince McMahon becoming a heel. You know, obviously we had you know, Bret Hart going WCW on WWF television, and it was fighting with Vince McMahon. You know, this is the precursor to obviously Austin versus McMahon, which helped WWE tremendously. And there was also, I'm trying to think, what was in 97? Now, Sid was in WWE still in 97, you know, already in 1997. Now, I remember Sid was still in 97, Kane, oh shit, was 97 the first cage match? Not cage match, the first Hell in a Cell match. Bad Blood, alright, first Hell in a Cell match. It was in 97. Alright, 97 is a very good year for WWE, yes. So obviously we had the first cage match. We had the introduction of Kane. Kane is one of Vince McMahon's best gimmicks of all time. Honestly, one of the best wrestling gimmicks of all time. How he made people believe in Kane and Undertaker is just astounding to me. So we had that. Obviously, the SummerSlam match, yeah, when it was Bret Hart versus Undertaker, and Shawn Michaels was special guest referee, and he hit Undertaker in the head with the chair, and then Bret Hart won. That was in 97. 97 is, I need to watch 97 pay-per-views. I might actually sit down and watch 1997 pay-per-views, because WWE was actually doing something. And then obviously we had Mankind. You know, this is after Mick Foley left ECW and he came to WWE. That was a really good time period. You know, we had the cage matches with Triple H. That was their first time meeting before obviously they had the rivalry in 2000, which is what they were just talking about in the fucking dirt sheets. We had, what else do we have? We had obviously the Boiler Room matches, yeah, with Undertaker and Mankind. Wow. 90, we had the Birth of DX. Oh shit, we had Dude Love and fucking Mick Foley being tag team champions. Yeah, man, that was really good. We had, yeah, the Half Foundation, like I was talking about. I remember those Shawn Michaels and Steve Austin. These were their first pair of matches before obviously they versed for the championship in fucking WrestleMania. Man, 97 is a good year for WWE. The New Age Outlaws, they were making their stand, you know. They weren't obviously as over there was in DX, but still the New Age Outlaws nonetheless. We had Animal and Hulk, these are the Headbangers. I was about to say the DOA. No, that's not the DOA. The Headbangers, obviously we have them here. We had the Road Warriors, yeah, the Road Warriors, or in WWE the Legion of Doom. Yeah, they had that in thing in 97. That was, this is for real. Damn. 90. Oh, there's the fucking WrestleMania match. This is honestly one of my favorite matches of all time. Stone Cold versus Bret Hart. The only saving grace of WrestleMania 13. No count. The only saving grace. But yeah, 97 easily. I mean, I'm thinking of segments. Would it be in 98 as well? I'm thinking of when DX was with Sergeant Slaughter and they were trolling him. And then obviously there's the DX stuff where they were on the podium, you know, saying the swear words and shit because the network didn't want them to say shit and censored shit. You know, let me see this graphic real quick. But yeah, these are just all just the fucking stack. Before Ahmed Johnson went to shit, we had the Nation of Domination, of course. Yeah, 97 is damn. I might need to rewatch the whole of 97. Brian Pillman was in 97 as well? No fucking way. 97 is honestly one of the best years of WWE as a whole. The pay-per-views were questionable, but the good moments were really good, and the good moments were consistently good. So I'm putting 97 up there as one of my favorite WWE years. No count. And bro, this is all because of just talking about Vince Russo. Yeah, but Chronic, fucking Chronic is a funny name. Honestly, shout out Dr. Dre. Chronic is a funny name. Chronic versus the Perfect Event. You know, Sean Stasiak and Chuck Palumbo was some if WCW lasted for until now as the number 2 company without like them going under, because obviously it wasn't Vince Russo's fault that obviously they went under. It was much to blame to the network. The network just didn't simply want WCW existing, and then obviously it got sold to Vince McMahon before Eric Bischoff could bring it back to TV. But yeah, there's a lot of good guys that just went missing. Obviously TNA existed, but TNA just wasn't as big as WCW. We all know that. Like TNA was like above ECW but below WCW. Just no, the purgatory. Purgatory. That's the best way I can put it. They're still existing now, which is a good thing. But you know, they're working with WWE, so they're doing their bit. But yeah, like guys like Sean Stasiak, Chuck Palumbo, Sean O'Hare, like, you know, good people. Oh, like yeah, Sean O'Hare, Mark Jindrak, you know, a lot of people that could have saw some booking and significantly made it to the main event obviously had to be taken to WWE. We already have guys like Eddie Guerrero, the man who shall not be named. We had like, you know, Steve Austin, Rock, Mankind, Mick Foley, Triple H, Undertaker, you know, future stars like John Cena, Batista, and Brock Lesnar. You know, just people come in that are just obviously going to be pushed ahead of them. It's sad that they didn't make the stint they could in the upper mid card or the main event. You know, it's kind of sad to think about. But, you know, shit, that's why everybody longs for the days of WCW. Even when they were the mess they were, at least they brought you know, an alternative to the main product that could compete with the main product. We had Billy Kidman versus Shane Douglas in a strap match. Now, I don't know why the fuck they're still going. Oh, it was Tori. Okay, so this was before Tori went to WWE. And was it before Tori went to WWE? Or is this a different Tori? Because there was a Tori with X-Pac and Kane. There was that storyline. I remember that. You know, Major Guns isn't a mud match. Now, this is a problem with early ruthless aggression and Attitude Era. Obviously, women's matches were not really matches. They were more like live. That was softcore. You know what I'm talking about. Softcore corn. So, you know, that's one thing to look at. Sting versus the Demon, 52 seconds. Now, I'm all for squash matches. I understand a squash match. That could be shown on TV, but on pay-per-view, you're just fucking over your fans. Now, the fucking Canadian Rules match, now that is a fun match. That is a fun match. Every time Lance Storm was supposed to lose, fucking, was it Jacques Rougeau? Yeah, it's right there. It's right there. Jacques Rougeau would come, and he would bring out his book and said, no, well, in Canadian Rules, we have this. Well, in Canadian Rules, we had that. Like, obviously, he said, oh, Canadian Rules is 10 count. And then he said, last man standing. And then he said, the champion is in no DQ. Just a lot of fun shit. Like, shit that I could honestly want to see today. I don't mind seeing that today. Especially if you have a chicken shit heel. Like, for example, if we had, like, Chris Jericho. If Chris Jericho did that shit. Like, Chris Jericho now is kind of interesting in AEW. But if you had Chris Jericho like he was in, let's say, early ECW, the LeBubble era, AEW, the LeBubble era, or like when he was with like WCW and he was doing his whole shit, like he was the conspiracy victim shit. That was a really good era. I like that. And obviously the 1001 holds and then all that. If he did shit like that as well, that would be cool. Because Lance Storm is a wrestler. He's a wrestler first and actor second, because obviously wrestling is a mix of acting and a mix of pro wrestling as well. Lance Storm is pretty much all wrestling, medium acting, not even medium, like small amount of acting. So if you have shit like this that truly just makes the fans fucking hate him, that's the type of booking you can get to make fans hate a heel, you know. Not be the mixed booking like Seth Rollins, where like he'll come, fans are chanting his theme song, but then he's supposed to be booed as the heel. Like, makes no sense at all. So, like, yeah, we need to bring shit like that, you know. Just stipulation matches that aren't Money in the Bank, ladder match, TLC is cool. We love TLC, you know. Shout out TLC. But shit like, what else I'm trying to think? Hell in a Cell, Steel Cage, just the basic shit, you know. Mix it up. Like, remember how we used to have ambulance matches? We used to have like, well, we're having the last woman standing match, which is kind of cool to think about. But we used to have like, you know, I'm trying to think well, pole matches. Like, they got overplayed, but pole matches were at least a stipulation. We had, I'm trying to think, man, because like a lot of shit back in the day that used to just really stipulation match. I'm losing it here. But you kind of get what I'm talking about anyway. Shit. So, Vampire and the Great Muta versus Chronic. Now, why is Chronic having 2 matches in the same pay-per-view? Lord knows. And they got their WCW champions. So, cool. Kevin Nash versus Goldberg and Scott Steiner. We all know how bullshit that match was, with Goldberg going like, fuck you to Vince Russo, trying to be smart and trying to, like, you know, go towards the internet fan, which doesn't make any sense, because one, this is the early stages of internet, so obviously the internet is not where it is now as social media is, and even if you had that shit now, it'd be retarded as shit. But besides the point, obviously, you know, just catering to the internet fans and, you know, the smart fans is just lowering down your audience. Like, obviously for like an ECW where you're in a smaller market, and obviously you have a fan base that you cater to, an established fan base of smart fans, it makes sense. But WCW is supposed to cater to your casual fan, your down south people, or what TNA was doing, you know, your country folks. That's who WCW should going for, not smart fans. And smart fans wouldn't really be down south, would they? They'll mostly be in like Philly or New York, and, you know, like the territories. The smart fans were always on the East Coast, around the same area. Philly, New York, New Jersey, I guess, in that area. So, like, yeah. And then obviously Booker T versus Jeff Jarrett. It is what it is, you know. Jeff Jarrett was interesting, you know. Sometimes he'll be fun, sometimes he'll be Double J Jeff Jarrett, you know. The Marky D entrance, you know, the shit he does, you know. Fucking, if you watch these videos, you know what I mean. So, yeah. Damn, we haven't even started the video yet. We just been yapping our ass off. So, there have been rumors of him leaving for a while. You know, got stronger this week after upset of the Poor Canada tour and the bad pay-per-view, bad TV shows. Basically, WCW execs are looking at Vince Russo and realizing that every facet of business, rating, buyers, attendance, and rate is down and not getting better under his watch, and they're starting to ask questions. This is in 2000, by the way. The nigga's not asking shit in fucking 99 when he lost like how many $1 million? Like, I don't know, a bit too late here, like, hey, but, you know, it's WCW. Them niggas didn't even want wrestling to begin with, so I'm surprised if they didn't pay attention. There's also some critical eyes on Booker T, who has not been getting over well as champion, getting lukewarm responses in most cities. Now, I can't really speak because I wasn't alive in the time period. I fuck with Booker T. Obviously, we see, like, what he's doing in the commentary. Oh, yeah, man. And the whole, you know, whoop that trick. Yeah, I like it. And fucking, you know, starting a lot of shit in NXT. You know, he's fun. He's up there. But, and obviously, you know, he had these good booking in WWE. Obviously, his early shit was Stone Cold. You know, the Supermarket Brawl. Everything that almost every WWE fan has seen at this point. The Supermarket Brawl. And then we had stuff like, you know, Bingo. Like, when he was in the Bingo Hall with Stone Cold and everything. So, Booker T's entertaining. I can't talk for it in this time period. I wasn't much of a follower, or I don't really follow WCW much outside of, like, what's known to the general public. Maybe I should start watching their shows more, and what I learned from reliving the war. So, I might start doing, I'm with the Renaissance crew, so we might start watching bad Nitro shows. That would actually be really fun, like some Deadlock Pro Wrestling shit, because shout out Deadlock. I'll always shout them out, because I don't want to steal ideas. If I take an idea, I'll give you credit. You deserve credit. You know, everyone, there's nothing original these days anymore. Everything comes from inspiration. So shout out Deadlock. Go watch your Deadlock podcast and go watch your Deadlock Sync. Those shit's a gas. Now let's get back to this shit. He's going to turn everything around without producing results, and now let's get back. But most of the heat is on Russo, obviously, with the many in the company losing confidence in his constant claims of how he's going to turn everything around without producing results, and are getting tired of his weekly excuses for why it's not getting any better. Well, maybe if you guys actually put him in the booking committee, like you guys actually thought beforehand, WCW could have maybe revived and rejuvenated a little bit. But obviously, you let him quit, and then you let him come back and walk all over you guys. It's Vince fucking Russo. So, During the interview, Russo also pushed for moving Nitro back an hour so that it can go head to head with Raw for the full 2 hours. Now, that is a good thing. 3-hour shows have never really been that good, if we're being honest. Like, if we're watching WWE Now and WWE Raw, you can tell the difference. Like, from 2008 to now and 2008 and before, you can see the big difference in WWE and, WWE before and now, because obviously with 3 hours you have to pad it and put more time in and more effort, which makes it way harder to put a lot of storylines and make good shows consistently. I feel like 2 hours is the perfect mark. That's why, SmackDown was always the better product for a good amount of time, especially around the era when I was watching that SmackDown Live era with like Dean Ambrose, AJ Styles, what's his name again? James Ellsworth, yeah, fucking James Ellsworth, yeah, when they had James Ellsworth and everything. That was definitely an interesting time in wrestling. So, shouts out to that. So, yeah, like 2 hours was always better for me. That's some shit I could actually tune into. So, it would make sense. Obviously, this is back then in 2099 as well, when 2 hours is just not even the norm. Like, WWE at least made 3 hours the norm. Now there's a whole generation of people like me who have grown up on 3 hours. I've went back and watched it and understand 2 hours is just better. But 3 hours, there's a generation that's grown up on that, so they're normal to it. But this is back then. So obviously, if you're seeing the condensed, good, consistent 2-hour Raws while the dragged out, shitty 3-hour Nitros, you're obviously going to pick the 2 hours. So, yeah, that's the thing. Considering football season just started back and WWF is still on fire, Dave says a move like that would be suicidal, and apparently WCW knows it because they are not even considering it. Russo blamed the failure of WCW to recover on a lack of advertising to publicize to fans that this is a new product compared to the old WCW a year ago. No, it's the same shit. Dave calls bullshit again, of course, as he should. Nothing that Russo came into the company with enormous hype, and several of their publicity stunts have resulted in curiosity, rating jumps, but they never stick, and ratings end up plummeting even further after fans tune in and actually see what WCW has become. I mean, shit, it's just like WWE now too. Like, I think I remember seeing in the CJax video, it's if you look at the WWE Netflix ratings, I think the debut on Netflix was about 6 million, and it's just gone down. So obviously at this high point, this would be leading into the Royal Rumble season. So this is where everything would be, very hype. You obviously put on your best product, and then the following week it just goes down because obviously you can't put in the same effort and the same hype as the first one, and then it slowly goes down and down. And I'm not much of a ratings guy. I obviously know the product would be more than the ratings, but ratings, especially on Netflix, where Netflix is global, this is not like old school ratings where it's just a national scale and whoever has TV. Netflix is global. Everybody has Netflix. Netflix is on phones, laptops, computers, phones, laptops, computers, TVs, fucking, soon Netflix might even be on your fucking glasses with the smart glasses they're making. So Netflix should be accessible to the global public, and obviously there's billions of people out there, and probably a billion people or more with internet. Obviously, as internet spreads wide across and social media and everything, they should have more views in all honesty, but the product isn't as good as it used to be. So hey, if Raw came on Netflix during the Bloodline and the peak Cody Rhodes shit, now viewership could have been way different, because obviously I was even tuning in week to week back then when they had the whole Bloodline versus Cody Rhodes, WrestleMania 40. That was just peak WWE. That's the best booking that Triple H has done. That, and also what they did with Drew McIntyre and CM Punk. But obviously, is that more the booking or more the two wrestlers at hand? But besides that, yeah, it's just like, basically, honestly, it seems like the best moments always consist of the same guys, like I've been saying: Roman Reigns, John Cena, CM Punk. CM Punk. I'm trying to think of other names. Cody Rhodes. I'm not much of a big fan of Jey Uso. I do understand the hype of Jey Uso. He is getting kind of repetitive to repetitive there, you know. What's it like? 4 words, one thing. Oh, yeet. I'm not really fucking with that too much. It's getting repetitive. Every segment is just yeet, yeet. It's no different than the what chance at this point. At first, it's hype. When you do it at the right moment, it's hype as shit. But when that's all your promo is, it gets kind of repetitive, you know. We can all be outside of the catchphrases. Someone like LA Knight obviously knows how to, and The Rock too, back in the days, knows how to put catchphrase with promo as well. So you say something and you include the fans in it. But with the whole Jay User shit, it's all fans, no substance. I'm not trying to be a hater. I love WWE as a whole. You know, I grew up with it. It's helped me, and I still go back to old shit. I like watching, you know, Chad Gable. Chad Gable's really good. They should push Chad Gable. I don't know what they're doing with the El Grande Americana shit. And obviously there's other wrestlers too that should be pushed. Carmelo Hayes, shout out him. NXT has niggas like Javon Evans and Trick Williams. And then I'm not too big on NXT. I haven't really paid attention to them much after around 2020, that era. But obviously there's all the big shit there. And then if we go back here, Russo also said WCW needs a celebrity angle similar to WF Tyson angle a couple years ago. That's not going to save your company at all. Dave says that it would be a nice idea if the company... Wait, didn't they have David Arquette? Didn't they have David Arquette a year before? And obviously we all know David Arquette. David Arquette with the title is just one of the most cursed things in wrestling. You know, they did it after the movie came out too. Like, not even before the movie came out, to raise, like, you know, awareness towards the movie. They did it after the fact. Dave says that would be a nice idea if the company had some momentum, but they don't. You know, that he's smart. WWF was already surging upward before the Tyson angle. Obviously, we saw it in '97 year, and it boosted their momentum. But even without the Tyson angle, WWF would still be exactly where they are right now. They've been consistently putting out a hot product for the last several years. WCW has done celebrity angles in the past with diminishing returns every time because the company was faltering. Russo also vowed that by January, WCW would be 1 ratings point behind WWF, which is a fucking lie. Completely. He also claimed that Kurt Angle is the only new star WWF has made since he has left last year. And finally, he has said that Medeja will be the next Sable. Who's Medeja again? Is Medeja, what's that girl? Not Sunny. I'm trying to think. Alundra Blaze? Is that Medeja? Is Medeja supposed to be Alundra Blaze? No, Medeja's, I mean, she was with the big booty daddy, you know, my nigga Scott Steiner. We all remember Scott Steiner, you know, fucking one of my favorite ones, Steiner Math of course, but one of my favorite ones was when he was in the purple warrior suit. He had the Superman logo in the middle, and then he did the, it was the, it was against, fucking Ric Flair. It was against Ric Flair, and he did the whole fucking, you know, the whole thing about, I'm trying to remember. He crooked yellow teeth, you know, is the second nature boy, Buddy Rogers, and then it's like, oh man, yeah, shout out my nigga Scott Steiner, you know, bro, you wanna know what's crazy too? You know, Scott Steiner created so many wrestling moves, For example, he created the, what's the word? Created a 450 splash in 1987. 450 splash. Fucking Scott Steiner. He generally invented the Scott's. He invented the. I can't even say the words right now. He invented the 450 splash. He was the first person to do it. As you can see right here, this is Scott Steiner right here. First, when Scott Steiner says he's genetic freak, he is not fucking lying. The shit Scott Steiner was doing prior to his second run in WCW, honestly. When he was doing his tag team run with, you know, the Steiner Bros and Rick Steiner, he wasn't even a powerhouse, he was the athletic guy. Look at him doing the 450 splash. Look at him. Someone that big should not be moving like that. Jeez. Now, obviously, some guys might say, "Oh, that looks botched." Well, actually, not really. If you watch him talking about it here.
Yeah, it's on tape.
Yeah, on tape, like you said.
No, it's timestamped because
1987, like we said before.
I had hit my feet first.
Yeah.
Quick like that, because back then, if you hurt anybody, pretty soon they wouldn't call you anymore because you cannot hurt a veteran.
So like, yeah, this is obviously prior to the 90s revolution where everybody just wanted to do everything, you know, everybody just wanted to do dumb shit to get over. So everybody would take the news. These are like the vets from the territory days. So obviously they didn't want to get hurt. They understand my health is my money, you know. Me being healthy is how I make my living. So doing the least amount of shit and the least amount of damage to my body is what's gonna help me, honestly. Shit. I don't want to do this shit, no, and fuck, this shit is not in the right place, low key. But yeah, obviously, you know, my body is my money. That's how I make my living. And territory days when you weren't earning as I mean, you weren't earning as much. The cost of living was less, but you weren't earning as much. So they obviously knew that, so they didn't want to take all them hits and shit. But yeah, Scott Steiner's made the Steiner screwdriver as well. Is Scott Steiner the first to do the Hurricanrana? First person to do Hurricanrana. Maybe it was obviously called the Steiner, the Frankensteiner, obviously. Yeah, Scott Steiner invented the Frankensteiner. Hurricanrana popularized professional. He invented the head scissors into a pin and move named after him, while Scott Steiner later popularized his own version called the Frankensteiner. So Scott Steiner is not the originator of the Hurricanrana. That would be, to my nigga, Hurricane Ramirez, you know. But Scott Steiner is the one that popularized it. Now, if we look at how big this nigga Scott Steiner is, Scott Steiner height and weight. Scott Steiner is 125 kilograms. Okay, to my niggas in fucking metric states and metric countries, you know how big 125 kilograms is, my nigga. And 1.5. Okay, I don't know anything about height in meters. Obviously, we know that in pounds and inches. In height in feet. He's 6'1". That's a massive ass nigga. Now, this is before we had people like Samoa Joe and fucking Mike Awesome doing all these crazy moves. This is 1987, by the way. 1987. And then weight in pounds for obviously my American niggas and whoever's in the, what is this called again? I don't even know. Who gives a fuck? 276 pounds. So he was a big nigga. He was a big nigga and a genetic freak for sure. So obviously Scott Steiner. Now WCW has also abruptly canceled the Saturday night show this week. Now I don't know too much about Saturday night's WCW or whatever the Saturday show, but apparently it was really big, especially for the older generation. So it's sad to see that go, especially since Thunder is still alive. Like, I bet more people gave a fuck about the Saturday show than Thunder. I don't really know what big shit happened on Thunder. New taping schedule for WCW expected to be a nightmare. That's not really too important. Hulk Hogan has filed a lawsuit against Vince Russo and WCW, which has many questioning just what exactly happened at Bash at the Beach. Now, everybody remembers Bash at the Beach. Now, is this Bash at the Beach? Yeah, everybody remembers Bash at the Beach 2000. An interesting pay-per-view. Just look at this graphic right here. This picture explains 1,000 words. Why does WCW have some of the worst moments in professional wrestling as a product? Like, not in terms of actual wrestling, but in terms of real life situations. And why does it always involve Hulk Hogan? Is Hulk Hogan just a horrible... Maybe Hulk Hogan is just a politician like we all know. Obviously, there's the finger poke of doom. And there's a whole bunch of other shit that involves Hulk Hogan and WCW, which is just very questionable. Very questionable. But, you know, besides the point, we all know that how the lawsuit ended. I think it got not thrown out, but I think they settled it outside of court. And more roster cuts in WCW, which is very sad, Aside from Rey Mysterio and Juventud Guerrero, every Mexican on the wrestler was cut on the roster. Whoa, so that means niggas like Ciclope. The only reason I remember Ciclope is obviously the thing segment. I'm trying to think of his name. What she's wearing? Dean Malenko, obviously Dean Malenko and Chris Jericho. There was not Juventud Guerrero. My nigga Psychosis. I like Psychosis. I like his one of my favorite matches by him is the shit he was doing in ECW against Tajiri. I really like his match with Tajiri. That back and forth is really amazing. And obviously there's fucking the Mexicools, I think that's what they call the fucking Mexicools, were very interesting when they'll come out in lawnmowers. Like, dude, why they get away with this shit? Who let them get away with this shit? How did Vince get away with this shit? Vince was always a very questionable person. Obviously, we remember this. What's good, my nigga? Like that shit. And, the storyline between Triple H and Booker T for WrestleMania 19, which is just very questionable throughout. Vince McMahon is an interesting person. Just look at this shit. Like, how is he getting away with this shit? How? Like, but yeah. That's interesting. Most of them hadn't been used lately. Alex Wright, Kurt Hennig, Lenny Lane, Christopher Daniels. Now, for y'all niggas I didn't know, Christopher Daniels was supposed to be in WCW. He did do a match in ECW. I remember there's one he had with Rhino. That was a really interesting match. Christopher Daniels, I think he might have been in almost every promotion. Well, he wasn't in WWE. If he was in WWE, he would be one of the only people in every major promotion, which is actually kind of interesting. But yeah, well, they released Kurt Hennig. Fuck, my nigga, Mr. Perfect. Damn, and they released Alex Wright as well, the dancing guy. Oh damn, I'm hitting that shit. I'm hitting that shit. Hey. Yeah, man, that's fucking sad to think about. But yeah, they got rid of my nigga. Fucking Christopher Daniels was supposed to be the demon. Cause remember there was the demon, Del Tolberg. He was playing his character, the demon, and I think he was having this beef with. I'm trying to remember his name. Vampira. Yeah, he was having his beef with Vampira, and Vampira was talking about this higher power and trying to convert the demon, or at the time he was playing Del Tolberg, I can't say his name properly, himself, trying to convert him to the demon. Astaghfirullah. Trying to convert him to the demon and trying to bring him back to the dark side. And Christopher Daniels is supposed to be that demon, but because the board of directors didn't want it at the network, they were saying this is too far, this is not some shit we'd want on our TV. That was Christopher Daniels didn't get to do it, so he didn't get to make his main roster debut. Happily, he didn't, because obviously he ended up going to ROH, and then from ROH he went to TNA. Or was he working with TNA and ROH at the same time? Whatever, he was doing that, and obviously it gave us the legendary matches and everything Christopher Daniels did. Shout out Christopher Daniels. Jim Duggan, no ready to get rid of Ayo. Free my nigga. Brian Knobbs. I'm trying to think. I've heard the name Brian Knobbs, definitely. It was in the thing segments, the wrestling by segments. Brian Knobbs, the fucking Nasty Boys, yeah, the Nasty Boys. Bro, I watched this on DVW. They're always showing him. When he was in the fucking thing from in the hardcore division, that was an interesting time. Hardcore division. Fuck. Damn. Brian, well, didn't have anything here, but he was hardcore champion. You can see shit here, like he had these matches with Buff Bagwell, and then fucking what else was there? Brian Knobbs and Fit Finley. Fit Finley has actually been wrestling for so long. I didn't know that. Obviously, we know I wouldn't be Fit Finley. It'll just be Finley. Obviously, we know. I know Finley most from what's the word? Obviously I know Finley mostly as this guy right here working with Hornswoggle and the fucking Shillelagh. But yeah, that's mostly what I remember him for. But yeah, they did work together. they did work together for a significant amount of time, and they had the dog. Whatever weird shit was going on with him. WCW, what the fuck? Like, Vince Russo, please. Why was he in office? Why was he head booker? Please, we have so many questions to ask. But beyond that, yeah, what the fuck? Just what the fuck? What the actual fuck? What was the plan? What was the plan with this nigga? Look at him. Look, does this look like a mentally sane person? Does this look like a mentally sane person to you? Does this look like a mentally sane person to you? No. Who the fuck is this nigga? And why the fuck was he on WCW TV? This is main TV too. This is not Thunder. This is not fucking Saturday Night. This is fucking Nitro. Head TV, head to head with Raw. This nigga is showing up doing whatever the fuck this is. Vince Russo, you have shit to... I'm getting angry just thinking about it. I'm concerned. The dog, he didn't even have a proper name. It was just the dog. And instead of having an actual dog, like, shout out Scott Steiner. Scott Steiner is one of the goats. Scott Steiner Tiger. Now, if you want to bring out a wrestler with some cool shit, bring someone out with a fucking tiger. Like, my nigga, look at Scott Steiner. Look. He's menacing. He's walking around with a tiger. I am not fucking with a nigga that's walking around with a tiger like this. Look, the man who's training with the tiger and walking with the tiger is in fear. He is in fear. And Scott Steiner is the most calm, cool, and collected I've ever seen in my life. Like, look at this shit. Look at him. He looks fucking so cold. Like, look how cold he looks. Like, damn. Like, I think Scott Steiner, like, hey, you know. I remember, Scott Steiner, you know, the gut. Yeah, he says he's really nervous, but he kept calm, cool, and collected. Now, if I see this shit on my TV screen, one, I'm like, holy shit, I want to tune in. I want to watch this shit. This nigga look cold as shit. I'm fucking with this boy. You know, let's see what other crazy shit he gets to. You know, obviously we have that nigga there, and obviously this is a shit example, a very shit example, but something that had a lot of. This is also going down as one of Vince Russo's worst ideas ever. There's obviously the dog kennel match. This is a cool concept. This could have really worked. Obviously, you know, we had this shit here. The dogs are just too happy-go-lucky. Like, I don't know, I think the dogs are like humping each other and shit. I think I think the dogs are humping each other. Like, I don't fucking know. There's funny shit like that. I think the dogs are humping each other. It was very interesting. They had it at SVR. No, they didn't have it at SVR. I think that's just someone what's the word? Someone doing muds. But yeah, the dog kennel from Hell match, it could have really worked out. Obviously look shit like that. If they had actual vicious dogs, not like sunshine and rainbow ass dogs, that could have really worked out. But nah, you know. And then, you know, one of Vince Russo's worst segments, not segments but match ideas, it could have worked out but just poorly executed. This is why 99, although, hey, it's up there for WWE, not one of the best. Like, obviously Attitude Era shit, Attitude Era will always have its peaks, but 99 as a year is not really, I cannot fondly look back upon it as much. Like, I can't watch that too much. Like, obviously I understand it, you know, the 90s, you know, crazy shit, we just want over the top shit, Crash TV, Jerry Springer, you know, Jerry. But hey man, that shit's like just very interesting to go back to. You know, I watched it and reliving the war. I watched a few episodes and a few pay-per-views myself. I watched WrestleMania 15. It's not the best year to go back to. You know, if you're watching the Attitude Era as whole, you know, obviously, yeah, go ahead. But if you're going for specific years, like I'm saying, 97 and 2000, 2001 as well. But 2001 is a weird point because obviously it's Attitude Era all until about Invasion storyline. So like obviously you have WrestleMania 17. Everybody says, oh, WrestleMania 17 is the Attitude Era. Well, not really, no. It's the middle ground. So like, you know, it's there, and then it's pause, and then Invasion. That's like the gray era, you know, the gray era, the transition period, and then ruthless aggression, obviously, like we have after in 2002. So like, yeah, but yeah, fucking this is the dog, you know. Shouts out my nigga, the dog, the cat versus the dog. Yeah, Vince Russo and WCW for you boys. Yeah, Brian Knobbs, Elizabeth, and Mike Rotunda were all released. I believe, is Mike Rotunda the one that used to work with Barry Windham? I think so. I don't remember what the group was, but I remember he was a tag team guy. I'm pretty sure, from my memory. I'm not 200% sure. And Marcus Bagwell's future is not in doubt. Well, he ended up getting signed by WWE and making it through the whole of WCW. Now, obviously, he got fired from WWE for whatever dumb shit he was doing and whatever he did with his mom, but that has nothing to do with me. He has 6 months left on his contract, but he's been in the doghouse for a while because he throws a fit every time he's asked to do a job and generally not liked. Well, it makes sense why I got fired from WWE. Prince Lakula is on the chopping block. Now, is this the artist formerly known as, I don't remember his name. I'm trying to think. The artist formerly known as Prince Lakula. Now, I swear he had a different name. But nah. Mainly what I remember is obviously he's in the cruiserweight. I remember he's beef with Chris Jericho, like here. Chris Jericho won and took his whatever that shit's called. Like I have a lot of Islander friends, obviously in Australia here, but whatever that thing's called, Ulafala. Yeah, it took his Ulafala. I think, is it called Ulafala? Well, it's not a Ulafala, but it's, I guess something similar, like that shit right there. No, that's not the Ulafala. That was very racist. Sorry, my Islander niggas. Sorry, Michael, if you're watching this. Shout out my nigga Michael. But yeah, he took that shit, and then I remember that was pretty significant. And then whatever bullshit this was, like, it's not Lakula, it's Ayakea. That's why it sounded so wrong. It's Prince Ayakea. Yeah, Prince Ayakea. Yeah, he was just very interesting. So like, yeah. And then this is when Shamel was taken away from the Nitro Girls and finally brought on TV. And obviously everybody mostly knows Shamel for what she did in WWE. That weird Kurt Angle shit, what was he say? I want to have that bestiality sex. Oh, whatever the fuck freak shit Kurt Angle is on. But like, yeah, that cool shit there. So, Shamel is mostly known for doing her stuff with King Booker and Booker T, but she was first brought on screen as a Nitro Girl and then first made a proper, character or valet with Prince Ayakea. So, yeah. Also on the chopping lawyer, his contract is due up in November and he was trying to negotiate a better deal, and WCW instead decided to just bench him for the rest of his deal and not re-sign him. I mean, hey, free money though, like that ass. Dave actually doesn't know why they decided to cut Christopher Daniels. He's fucking goated, I agree to. WCW is all about pushing their big new youth movement, the new blood, and Daniels is a great worker who is only making $75,000 a year, which is peanuts compared to everyone else in the company. Now, $75,000 a year is a lot, but if we're thinking about WCW, they were giving these niggas they were pissing away money. They were giving these niggas a fuck ton of money to sit at home and do nothing. Christopher Daniels should have definitely gotten pushed. I think AJ Styles was getting pushed towards the end. Imagine if we had AJ Styles and Christopher Daniels at the same time on WCW. Now, this is a big audience in TNA. Damn, that. And then we could have had niggas like Samoa. Oh, imagine if everything that happened in TNA was in WCW as well. Bro, wrestling landscape would have been completely different. Completely different. Daniels is the exact kind of wrestler that should be on TV getting pushed. Now, Dave knows his shit, because obviously we know the career that Christopher Daniels has had. Not getting released more than anyone, Dave thinks this shows a lack of an eye for talent by people making decisions. Nail on the head. Lots of wrestlers in WCW have been trying to put feelers out to WWF to see if they can jump ship. Obviously, we see all this shit that happens. WCW did go under the bus like we saw. Dave writes a big obituary piece for Tony Cannonball Perseri, who was a well-known star in the 60s and 70s. I don't know too much about that. Now I think we're just going. Now this is almost all outside of my expertise. So I don't know too much about NJPW, like I was talking about. I'm not too much of what's the word, of a Japanese fan, so that's fair. I mean, Noah's goated. You know, I've seen some Noah matches. Obviously, Marufuji versus what's his name? Marufuji versus Mitsuhawa. Am I saying Masawa? Yeah, Masawa. That's a good match. Rita Mera, aka Sable, was in Inside Edition this week. Tammy Sitch said on her website that she was in a car accident. Tammy Sitch. Now, Sunny, obviously we know what happened with Sunny, and drugs, just stay off drugs. You know, I can't say too much. I'm a big fan of the ganja. You know, why my nigga Flight be on, but you know, just stay clear from it, please. The latest on ECW USA Network negotiations. It's possible that they're looking at putting the show in. We all know the beef between ECW and, you know, USA Network, and how USA Network honestly just used ECW to get a feel on wrestling, and then ended up getting WWE back. And obviously, you know, ECW went under the bus, ripped to such a great promotion. So yeah, that's pretty much all of significance I'd want to talk about at the moment. I've been yapping my ass off for an hour. Let's get back into this reliving the war content. Let me put the volume. Did I just... my dumbass.
War, you're gonna get one.
Forget the lies,
Now, it took me a while to realize, you know, that's the fucking, the Raw intro, the old Raw intro. He remixed it. I like this guy's remixes. They're really good, honestly. Really good remixes. Especially, the Cold and Ice one. I love what he does with, the wrestlers and how to add their special themes. There's, the